So, as I said, I made the cups. My turner stopped turning in the middle of the night, and I had big pools of epoxy underneath. I've sanded my cups. This is the peekaboo one we're working on. I actually had to add more glitter in certain spots so that way it could fill in where I messed up or it's thin. I sanded it as flat as I could where the epoxy pulled up so that way I can epoxy it again. Hey, that's enough, please. Once I'm done epoxying and it dries and it's okay, then we can add the decals tomorrow. I've already cut out my decal in the last video I did, the cat with the name Scarlet. I'm gonna save this here for later so I always tape my cups down once they're done with the epoxy on it because they like to move and they'll fall off. So I'm going to divvy up my epoxy and show you how to apply it, and then tomorrow we will apply decals, do the alcohol inks and the spray paint. And then all you need after that is just one more layer of epoxy to seal the decal in so it doesn't peel up. Boom, you're done. So let's do the epoxy. Let me grab all my supplies and we'll start with that. Okay, so I have my gloves. You should always wear gloves with epoxy. Certain people, it can irritate their skin. You can get real big hives. People's eyes are swollen shut. Let's not do that. So I have this little tiny measuring cup. You want equal parts of A and B for your epoxy. This is called Envirolex. So you want equal parts. I usually do like a tablespoon of each to start with, and if I need to make more, I will. That light is very blinding, but it shows you the glitter pretty well. Okay, so scrape it all out. I have this silicone brush. It's easier to apply your epoxy with it. And you got, hey, shh. It's easier to apply your epoxy with it. And they're super easy to clean. If you apply it with a regular paintbrush, then you have to throw the paintbrush away. Same with the cups. I get these little throwaway cups because I can just throw them away when I'm done. I also have silicone cups. I haven't used those yet. They should be able just to peel out of there. Okay. When your epoxy starts getting warm, that means it's starting to harden. So you mix it up real good. I'm going to start with this other cup because that one, the glitter's still drying just a little bit, but I'm going to epoxy this cup so you can see it. Okay, so let me wash it off real quick so that way there's no more shave where I sanded down the epoxy. I'm gonna wash it off real quick. Just pause. Without my glove on. Pause. Okay, so I washed it so you can't see all the powder anymore. You can still see some of the scratches in it from where I sanded it, but those will go away with the epoxy. So gloves on real quick. Okay, so I've already mixed my equal parts of epoxy. About your stuff. I only have so many minutes. I don't know why I only have so many minutes left. I deleted a bunch of photos off my phone, but I still only have so many minutes left. So I've mixed it. I just take a big paintbrush full, drizzle it on, and brush it. You want equal brush strokes so you don't get any runs. If you get too much, it'll start falling off and bubble up if it doesn't turn enough. But you want a nice coat to where everything's covered. If you do too little of a coat, then you'll see like it almost looks like water spots because you didn't get enough epoxy on it, so you have to go back over it. So you always want to make sure that you get enough epoxy on there. It'll almost sound like a streaking sound of where you don't have enough epoxy because it's, you know, the epoxy is wet, the cup is dry, so it'll make like a squeaky noise where you don't have enough epoxy, but you want enough to cover everything so you can hear it. There's not enough over there. And the 1 tablespoon that I made should definitely cover 2 cups and maybe then some. I usually, if I have any leftover epoxy, I put some in the bottom of my little cups that I throw away and add glitter, and it makes like little circle examples of what the glitter would look like on a cup. If you want, like, you know, if you're having a craft show or something and you need an example, that's how that would be. So once you get it fully covered, don't forget this bottom half down here, because your brush sometimes doesn't always reach there. Don't forget the top part where the mouthpiece is. You have the actual mouthpiece taped off so you don't get the epoxy on it. So don't forget this part down here. Don't forget the bottom. And once you've got your cup covered, you're going to want to take your brush and go all the way down and get the extra off. All the way down, extra off. That way it's not dripping with epoxy. Now the mouthpiece is a little bit harder to do. I did it yesterday and I still missed some because this silicone brush doesn't like to get in there very well. So I'm going to grab a small regular brush I don't mind throwing away when I'm done and just touch up the mouthpiece or the top of the bottle, more or less. Now before you epoxy your alcohol inks, you're going to want to spray seal the cup because they will bleed when the epoxy goes on. I always spray seal with like a clear spray paint, clear coat. So if you add more, go ahead and add more. So I'm probably just about out of time because for some reason I have a time limit. I'm not exactly sure why I have a time limit, so I'm going to try and free up some more space on my phone and see if that helps a little bit. So this is pretty much it. You just keep going until you get it nice and covered, and it dries overnight. You can start touching the cup about 12 hours after it dries, so you can like touch it and see if it's done, maybe add a decal or whatever, but it'll be fully dry in 24 hours. So you don't want a huge thick layer, but you don't want not enough. You just want that happy medium. So the thing with alcohol inks is that no matter how you put the inks on, they'll never be the same as a cup you've made before because your placement is always different. Your spots are bigger or smaller than the last cup, or you did different colors, you overlap the colors, your alcohol spray, you know, made a bigger spot, you know. So that's what I like about alcohol inks, is that never, one cup is never the same. It's always different and unique. So I'm going to continue this, shut my video off so I have room, and then the lid, I'll show you the lid real quick. I have